Good evening, America. I am Eric Little. It is the 23rd day of October 2020. There are 11 days left till the end of the general election. I am near my home in Southern California this evening, and this is the plain truth. So I guess we should talk about this debate last night. I was listening to some of the shows this morning, and they're like, oh, well, he was much more restrained and he looked better. Really? So this is where we are right now. You get credit for not acting like a lunatic? All right. So, it's hard to judge these things through the cavalcade of lies. I'm not even going to go into it. Poor Dan Dale from CNN, who's the fact checker. I think they checked him into the hospital this morning from overwork and exhaustion. You know, I said it yesterday. I said it the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that this isn't going to change anything. Nobody's going to change their mind. First of all, 50 million Americans have already voted. Now, to give you an idea how in Congress that is, 126 million people voted in the entire election last time. We're at 50 million, and there's still 11 days left. Just to give you some idea of where we stand. Yesterday, I said Biden would win the debate by 15. I guess I underestimated Trump. He only won by 14. I told you it wouldn't change anybody's mind. I've yet to meet a single person to change their mind. Either way, nobody that watched that debate last night that was going to vote for Joe Biden saw that and said, you know what, I think I'm going to vote for Trump now. Nobody's done that. Nobody would do that. The reason why debates matter is because usually there are people that are on the fence. There are people that either dislike both candidates or like both candidates, and they just can't really make up their mind. Or they don't know one or both of the candidates. This is not the case here. Biden's been around for a half century. You know him and he knows you. Trump has been around a half century too, not in politics, but over these last 4 years, seeing all of his actions, you can't not have an opinion on Trump. I'm not telling you to like him or hate him, but to say, oh, I have no opinion on Trump, it's nonsense. You have an opinion one way or the other. There's nobody that's lukewarm on Trump. So there's that. Now, I think the biggest thing that stuck out with me last night, there was a number of things, but the one that stuck out to me most, I think, was the empathy gap. The just lack of, they talked about the 545 children that are still separated from their families, some as young as 5 years old, and they don't know if they'll ever be able to find these people's families. And, Joe Biden was like, yeah, I feel terrible. What can we do? We got to help you. And, he was like, no, they're being well taken care of. The facility is clean. What? So you being in a clean facility takes the place of you taking a 5-year-old from their mother? All right. It's the thing is, when he started talking about he was the best thing that happened since Abraham Lincoln, nobody's done more for the black community than I have. Lyndon Johnson passed the Civil Rights Act. I'd say he did more for black people than you. See, the thing about him saying that, it again proves his empathy gap. It proves, when Joe Biden talked about having that black people and brown people too, having to have this conversation with their sons and daughters about if you get pulled over, where to put your hands, how to act, what to say, that they have to have that conversation. Biden said, I felt terrible. He said, me being a white man, I don't have to have that conversation. But it's ridiculous that we do. Donald Trump started talking about money he gave to HBCUs or something. I'm not saying it's not important. We all support our HBCUs. He's done some work. Well, actually, Obama started to work on criminal justice reform. He picked it up, so at least he did that. But everything with him is transactional. He has no empathy, no feeling. He's like a robot or something from another planet. He doesn't feel anything. That's what led to the losers and suckers comment. He doesn't feel anything. It's a transaction. Everything's a transaction. It's no mistake that his wife is like a mail order bride. It's a transaction. I give you money, you give me a bride. Everything is transactional with this guy. So he's like, well, I've done something for you people. I've gave money to HB, so you should vote for me. It's a transaction. It's not all the crap you talk, how you made people feel, and you call Black Lives Matter a terrorist organization and all that. People vote by how they feel. You know, you could give me $100,000. But if you insult my children, I'm not going to vote for you. You understand? Everything in life isn't transactional. He never has seemed to grasp that ever in his life. You know, Obama made a speech the other day in Philadelphia, and he talked about that he can't grow in a job. He won't grow in a job because he can't. It's just not within him. Because struggle is something he's unfamiliar with. The job of president is a struggle. It's hard every day. Every decision that comes to your desk is a hard decision. If it was easy, somebody would have handled it before it got to you. Some aide, some person that's in charge of some agent, they would have handled it if it was easy. So there's work to be put in. And I say this all the time about the coronavirus vaccine, that we all want a vaccine. And hopefully one comes tomorrow. I don't know. But the problem is, you have to do something between now and then. You have to put in the work. You have to do contact tracing. You have to have a robust testing system. You got to, when the vaccine comes, that's great. Distribute it and let's get back to our lives. But until then, you have to do the work. He doesn't want to struggle. He doesn't want to do any work. He never struggled. His father gave him $500 million just for being born. Everybody he ever met in his life worked for him. He's not familiar with the concept of struggle. And therefore, he can't put in the work. He doesn't want to. He says it's going to go away like a miracle. You know, because that's what he's done his whole life, that somebody else will take care of it. But when you're the president, you have to take care of it. Here's what you should do. Contact trace. Robust testing. Use the Defense Production Act to its full. Mass mandates. There are things you could do. In other words, we're losing 1,000 people a day. 1,100 people died yesterday. So what if the vaccine isn't available until next June? You're fine with 1,000 people a day dying until then? That's the point I've always tried to make, is that you have to put in the work. And he's not interested in doing that. I told you the other day, I made this analogy maybe a couple weeks ago about me wanting to play in the NBA. I want to be in the NBA. Well, do you want to get up at 5 in the morning and run 10 miles and get into shape that's necessary to play? No, I don't want to do that. Well, you want to shoot 5,000 jump shots a day. So no, I don't want to do that. You want to watch hours and hours? I don't want to do any of that. I just want to be in the NBA. That's how he feels about the presidency. I just want to be president. You want to make the hard decisions? I don't want to make any decisions. You want to do the work? You want to do research and bring people? I don't want to do any of that. I just want to be president. I just want to fly around on Air Force One and make speeches and have the adoring crowds cheering me. But that's not the job. It's great that every time you walk into a room, somebody plays music. That's fantastic. But you still have to put in the work. And this guy has shown over the course of his lifetime, but particularly over the last 4 years, he's simply not willing to do that. And that is the plain truth, as I see it. And I am Eric Little. Good night, and have a great weekend.